Limit is z goes to 3 of 1 over z plus 2 minus 1 over 5 over z squared minus 5z plus 6. The first thing we're going to do is try plugging a 3 in for all of the z's. In the numerator, that'll give us 1 over 3 plus 2 minus 1 over 5. In the denominator, that'll give us 3 squared minus 5 times 3 plus 6. In the numerator, 3 plus 2 is 5, so we have 1 over 5 minus 1 over 5. In the denominator, we have 3 squared, which is 9, minus 5 times 3, which is negative 15, plus 6. In the numerator, 1 over 5 minus 1 over 5 is 0. In the denominator, 9 minus 15 is a negative 6, plus a 6 is a 0. And we have 0 over 0. Since this is a 0 over 0 indeterminate form, we will need to rework it, and because we have fractions being combined, we're going to try to use the common denominator method. So we will have limit as z goes to 3. We need a common denominator between these two fractions up here. One of them has a denominator of z plus 2, one of them has a denominator of 5. The overall common denominator would be 5 times z plus 2. So we need to multiply the first term by 5 over 5, and the second term by z plus 2 over z plus 2. I'm just going to leave the overall denominator the way it is for now until I get these two fractions combined. So we have limit is z goes to 3 of, in the numerator we would have 1 times 5, which is 5, over 5 times z plus 2, minus the numerator for the second fraction we have 1 times z plus 2, which is z plus 2, over 5 times z plus 2. They now have a common denominator, which will now allow us to combine the two together. So we will do that by combining them over that common denominator. It looks like it's a subtraction. Be careful, this minus sign here will distribute on the z and the 2 that are here when we combine these together. So as a single fraction, it will be 5 minus a z minus a 2 over the common denominator of 5 times z plus 2, and then all of this is over z squared minus 5z plus 6. Alright, now that we've produced the common denominator, we still will have 0 over 0 going on, and we'll continue to have that until we do some kind of cancellation. I'm going to combine the numerator together. The 5 and the negative 2 can combine, and that will give us limit as z goes to 3 of 3 minus z over 5 times z plus 2. Notice I'm not distributing that 5 into that z plus 2. It's better to keep it factored. Factor versions will often have the cancellation, and we're looking to be able to do that here. Alright, the denominator I'm going to leave alone for now so that I can reciprocate and multiply it. I'm going to put it over 1 so it is a fraction itself, so I can do the step of reciprocate and multiply that we always would do for the common denominator method for the 0 over 0 indeterminate form. So we'll have this numerator fraction, 3 minus z over 5 times z plus 2. And we're going to multiply this times the reciprocal of the denominator, so 1 over z squared minus 5 times z plus 6. And let's go ahead and multiply these fractions together. In the numerator, 3 minus z times a 1 is just a 3 minus z. In the denominator, we will have 5 times z plus 2 times z squared minus 5z plus 6. Now we still have 0 over 0. We still have not canceled out the factors that are making 0. In the numerator, it's 3 minus z is making a 0. In the denominator, the 0 is occurring in that expression, z squared minus 5z plus 6. So we need to further factor that so that we can cancel out the common factors. And that's going to give me limit as z goes to 3 of 3 minus z over 5 times z plus 2 times, now we have a trinomial factorization. It's going to be a z and a z. We need two numbers that multiply to be a positive 6 and add to be a negative 5. It sounds like negative 2 and negative 3 will take care of that for us. So there's the factor making a 0 in the denominator. It's actually specifically that one right there, the z minus 3. It doesn't quite match the numerator. The numerator is 3 minus z. We need to factor a negative out of one of the two. I'll take it out of the numerator simply because it's smaller in form. If you factor out a negative, it will reverse the signs of both the z and the 3 to opposite of what they were, which will then allow us to be able to cancel out the z minus 3's. We will go ahead and do that, leaving a negative 1 in the numerator. We should no longer have the 0 over 0 indeterminate form. We actually have a negative 1 divided by a 5 times a z plus 2 times a z minus 2. Let's go ahead and plug in the z as a 3, and that will give us a negative 1 over 5 times 3 plus 2 times 3 minus 2. So that'll be 5 times 3 plus 2, which is a 5, and 3 minus 2, which is a 1. And we have negative 1 over 5 times 1, which is 25, negative 1 over 25.